This is Talk is Sheep, the official podcast of the Wild Sheep Society BC, brought to you by Sitka Gear. Come along as we bring conversations that matter to you into the high alpine. This episode is sponsored by our conservation partner, Precision Optics. Thank you Sitka Gear and Precision Optics for investing in healthy wildlife and sustainable ecosystems.
Episode number 150 with the King. I think Shockey was 100, and fitting that we'd be rolling in with the man, the myth, the legend, no other than Omer himself for 150, brother. Welcome to the podcast.
Listen to you. Glad to be here. It's been a while.
It has been. So what's going on in Omerville? What the hell's happening at Aroma Foods these days?
Just more of the same. Just working our asses off trying to get stuff in time for hunting season. And everybody's hunting season starts like next week. So it never ends. And that starts like really the week before sheep opener. But it's been good. It's been a relatively, I say that in quotation marks, normal year for us. No crazy highways, construction projects, or no, COVID lockdown stuff. And the fires obviously have touched a lot of people, but in our location it's just been a lot of smoke and no actual disruption. But yeah, actually it's kind of crazy that today's the 22nd anniversary of 9/11. Hey,
it's hard to believe, actually.
And the world is no less fucked up, in fact even more so, I think.
Oh, it's definitely more fucked up for sure. So 22 years ago, we all remember it, right? Where were you? Tell me what you figured the second you heard about. What were you doing? Actually, maybe you shouldn't tell us that.
I was in the shower and my wife was banging on the door, and so I didn't know what was going on. And she said, "Yeah, like two planes have flown into the World Trade Center." So I was just like, "What?" And yeah, I mean, I can remember that vividly, like literally like it was yesterday. I can remember the frickin' soap I was using and the shampoo, and yeah, nuts.
Typical accountant. He's got it all down to the shampoo and the soap. So.
I used exactly 53 milliliters of Selsun Blue, and yeah.
Renz Meg, what about you? Where were you sitting on that day? I know you were like 16 at the time, but.
Oh, I wasn't even that old.
Oh my God.
I think I was only in grade 8 in high school. We were just getting ready for school and turned on the TV, and it was like, holy smokes, here we go. What's going on? And then at school, everyone was just glued to the TVs wherever we could find them, trying to figure out what's going on. It was, sitting in the portable. It was quite the time, to say the least, burned into my head at, I guess I would have been 13 years old, 14 years old.
Yeah, that day just kind of hung in midair. Like it moved so slowly. Like every moment led to the next. Didn't matter what you were doing. Like everything was kind of on hold because it was like, like how is this unfolding? What's going on? What's going to happen next? And, and then I remember one of my good friends, she was living in New York. Like nowhere near that, but like you're just immediately like, whoa, how's she doing? And I mean, it's wild that time can fly that fast and that we learn absolutely nothing. Yeah. And not to get political, but we're gonna that the whole world focused on like us versus them, this enemy abroad. And really now, whatever side of the spectrum you're on, we're just working as hard as we can to make even worse enemies of people that live in our own borders. So
9/11, it was close to home for me. So the day before, 3 days before 9/11, I took off out of Toronto, going to Sao Paulo, Brazil. Take off, and we flew literally directly over the World Trade Center. I was looking at it. I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. We're talking about it, chatting about it. And then, so I got home from that, woke up the next morning. I literally just had my kid, my first son, 22 years old today or now. And at the time, he was a newborn, and it was like my wife called. She was in Winnipeg at the in-laws, and she's like, "Did you see what's going on?" And I'm like, all I could think about is I brought a kid into this world. Like, what the heck is in store for him?
Yeah.
And then my buddy was calling me. He's like, "We're done. Our careers as an airline pilot is done. We're done. We're all getting laid off. It's over. It's all over. We're done." And I'm like, "Oh wow, okay, that's not really good." And I wasn't really thinking that far ahead. So 9/11 didn't hurt my career, but COVID sure did. You talk about, it didn't take the 9/11 towers to bring down my career as an airline pilot, but COVID took it down, and a few other things too. But it's pretty close to my home because there was a lot of things going on for me at that time that was pretty poignant. Lots of buddies too with pictures of themselves at the World Trade Center the day before, like the 10th of September, right? Like they've sent in pictures like I was there yesterday. It's like, holy crap. Scary.
Well, I got to say, COVID might have been bad for your airline pilot career, but it was good for Wild Sheep Society BC. So
we'll see about that.
So,
well, hey, so let's talk about, there's a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to talk gear, but before we do that, we just, on Saturday night, we drew 5 rifles, 54,000 prizes that we gave away. And this is a Precision Optics brainchild. Like you came to us and said, "How can I help?" And this is what I want to do. Like, where does this come from? Like, because this by far is our greatest fundraiser ever for net profit in terms of what we do. It's unbelievable that we can offer this, and we can effectively fund probably a quarter of our mission programs this year because of this donation. So where does this come from, and what's the inspiration for this, Omer?
I remember like when it first hatched, it was just like, this would be pretty cool. Like Fierce rifles were actually pretty new on the game. And, I was a huge proponent of them. I believed in them. And then, things were different back then. You guys were primarily like a live auction sort of cash engine. Like things were driven by the live auctions at the shows. Correct me if I'm wrong. And there weren't a lot of online. There were no online auctions, if I remember correctly. I don't think you guys were set up with the Gaming Commission for that sort of thing. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, fuck you. But it sounds better. I remember that gun. It was a Fierce CT Edge with a Swarovski Z5 5-25 on it. And I remember the photo shoot for that was like super impromptu. You guys needed some photography. So me and Mike are like, whatever. So we just moved a bunch of stuff off the floor. And I remember I mopped we got like vinyl tile, wood grain vinyl tile. I mopped it very quickly so it had some glisten, and we laid it there, and I took a few sort of Dutch angles on it, and we just processed it. And because I remember we were struggling to find some artwork for it, and then I sent you that, and your response was like, "Man, there's really something in a picture." And looking back on it, it was a pretty cool picture. Like it just had the right angle, the right colors. I remember you had to fight for it because there was some concern that an auction would take away from the live auction dollars, like that it would be competing. And that one went over okay. And then the next year we did it again, and then we just kind of keep folding it over. It's kind of like the Gillette method of like marketing, like one blade, fuck that. We're doing 3 blades. 3 blades, we're going the Mach 7 blade, right? Like just keep adding guns and make it bigger and better. But I got to tell you, the best part of it is that we fund a number of them, but then some of our other partners, it's just like what I like about it. It's we'll be talking about whatever. I'm like, yeah, and we've got that Wild Sheep thing next year. You're gonna donate a gun? Like, I'm like, hell yeah, like for sure, right? And you just know that that enthusiasm comes from the fact that they just know that it's like a good place to put their marketing dollar and donation, right? Whether it's an optic or whether it's the gun itself. The support is so good. So, I like that. The hardest part is figuring out, like, what are they going to be? Like, which caliber, which scope, which model, like, that's always kind of a challenging one because there's just so much cool stuff. And so, going into this next year, we're going to have to really put our collective heads together and kind of figure out, what people really, really want, because, we've got to do that quite a ways out, and time's always ticking. So, yeah, it's nice to see it grow the way it has. And I just, always want it to be bigger and better and badder and get more people ensnared and sorcelled by these awesome guns.
Well, like, you just don't see a prize package like that, right? It's so cool. And, you think about it, we do all these other hunt raffles, which is really important to servicing what we're doing in terms of conservation work. But in terms of net, like, this blows everything out of the park, and it's unbelievable. And, without the support of, and I know that you put a ton of skin in the game. Like, this is not like, well, I'll put my name on it, but I'm going to get all these donations from everybody else. You put a lot of skin in the game, but so do our industry partners. Gunworks stepped up on that full donation on that climber, and it's phenomenal to see the support that they're bringing to British Columbia. And I cannot stress enough what this allows us to do in terms of our conservation work. Because if we had to go out and source all that stuff, first of all, even try and get that stuff, let alone, what you're going to pay for it. And then to be able to turn around and have this, every ticket we sold was going back to conservation. And that's phenomenal. People like to support stuff like that too. They like the guns, the prize package, but then what it's doing for conservation, man, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it speaks for itself. And then I got to stress that again, like, Gunworks, it's a very, like, let's be honest, not everybody can own a Gunworks, and very few people can afford it with a clean conscience, because it's very indulgent, and they're very top of the price chain for a sporting rifle. And they know that. They know that a lot of people, like, aspire to their rifle, but that's sheep hunting. Okay. The odds of you going out and finding a successful ram are percentage wise pretty low. But it's amazing how, like, developing a relationship with those guys, and you've met Chris, he's like a fantastic dude, like, just a really, really good dude. It's just, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like, you go through all these highs and lows when you sort of develop, like, these partnerships, like, between us and then me with my industry vendor partners. And, like, you get problems and things that don't work out, and, like, blown lead times and delivery dates, when that guy needs this and you don't get it in time, or you get it and it's wrong, or you fall through on something, or, you book so many guns and they come in the wrong order. And so you got to push back on some and take others at a different time. But then, like, you develop a partnership. You develop this sort of liaison where it's not purely transactional in the moment. It's more over time. And Chris and Gunworks and Fierce as well, because they're just as strong, in my view, when it comes to this kind of support. But as far as, like, this particular raffle goes, Gunworks has center stage, and that's the sexiest part of it. And you couldn't ask for a better partner there. And the best part about it is then, like, other brands sort of see the success of it. So then they kind of want a piece of the game. So, I don't think it's going to be a problem to have some really sexy rifle setups for people to buy tickets for in the coming years. And from my perspective, I'm like, bring it on, because, you guys have a lot of fantastic projects that need that funding. And the more that we can support it directly, and by that I mean, like, basically bring it to the Wild Sheep Society as a full donation, that leverage matters. Like, the sellout on the raffle isn't as critical. Like, obviously we want to sell out on every raffle, but when we get our partners to pony up, and it takes the pressure off you guys. And like you said, more of those dollars are going to direct use.
Well, and when we set goals for this, we're thinking if we could do $150 on something like that, it's 54,000 prizes, and we're tripling it effectively. That's huge, and we ended up selling over 170,000 in tickets. So, that and it's three pieces, right? There's the society doing what we do, and then there's the vendors and the donors and the supporters and the industry support that we get from Precision Optics and all our partners there. And then there's the people that are buying those bloody tickets, because you take one of those out and it all goes for shit, right? Like, you can't have one without the other.
Well, I was just going to say that the biggest thanks have to go to our membership, and the support that these rifles and these raffles see, especially a year like this year. Okay, because you talk to anybody in the industry, not just the firearms industry, the sporting goods industry, like almost every consumer indexed industry. And this is the year of like sober realization on the part of many families, whereby, unfortunately, they're dealing with the fact that one of the members in the household no longer is employed for various reasons, or because of inflation, which is a very real thing. There's many factors that bite at that paycheck and give like less play money. And so for people to take their money and support these raffles, and then, indirectly these projects, I don't know. I mean, I can't be more thankful. I'm a business owner, and, our life's blood is based on selling stuff to consumers, whoever they are, whatever it is that they do with it. But, these raffles are a completely different thing, because you're buying something for a chance at something, right? Mm-hmm. So, can't thank our membership enough. Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Well said, Omer, and thank you again. Just, we could sit here and talk all night about the incredible support that you bring to the society and everything that you do day in and day out. You're always fun. And the thing about it too is, you make our life much easier, because you're coming to us with, they talk about time, talent, and treasure, and you're showing up with obviously treasure and with talent. You're like, well, what about this? Why can't we do this? I remember during COVID, you're like, why don't we do one of these raffles a month? Like, that's 200. If we could do 20,000 in sales, and we're like, and I love your enthusiasm, because we're a board of directors, right? And our directors, we have different levels of comfort and risk, and guys are like, whoa, and then other guys and Omer's like, no, man, let's just drive that train right through the building. Let's do it, and we do it, and then we get a raffle like this where we net $170,000. Phenomenal. So amazing.
That's pretty incredible, actually, when you think about it. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, we promised people we were going to talk politics. Oh wait, we're going to talk gear. So one thing I think I need a Gunworks new bipod, buddy. I'm hearing so much about that. Tell me about it.
So, I mean, that's definitely high on my list for fantastic pieces of kit this year. When I first learned about the prototype from Chris, he told me about it, and then he was awesome in that he brought one of the prototypes to the Sheep Show in Kamloops. And, like sometimes it's just overwhelming for people. So a lot of people checked it out. I was legitimately blown away by it. I mean, I have the luxury of being able to play with like most things that come out and use them and look at them from a few perspectives. And so, the Revic Elevate bipod really is clever in that you don't need multiple bipods. You don't need any additions to it. And I'm not disparaging any of the other pieces of gear that I sell, but whether it's an Atlas or like a Spartan Precision, both of which, I've sold many, many, many of, all the other competitors to the Revic bipod is that they have like a standard and a tall. Like, they have multiple models to accommodate different situations, and not just a standard and a tall. They actually have multiple models to do different things. Okay. And then they'll have like leg extensions and all this other stuff. Whereas like Aaron Davidson, he designed this thing and it literally does all of that in one package. That the unit goes from like as low prone shooting position as you can to basically like a seated crouching position. And it's got this like remarkable cam lock Picatinny rail attachment positioning system that allows it to move from rail to rail to rail between your guns without having to adjust the clamp jaw. And if you don't, I mean, that probably won't make a lot of sense to some people, but if you own like an Atlas, you'll know what I mean. You want to move your Atlas bipod with its LWC F17 LaRue quick detached jaw from rail to rail to rail. You got to like adjust it each time, which, first world problem, but it's annoying. Whereas the Gunworks one, you don't. Like an overwhelming hit. I ordered a ton of them and I got less than half of what I initially ordered, and we sold out in like a couple of days. And that was like removing some from the website so that we had a little cash in case we oversold. And that was like ubiquitous for them. So they sold through everything they had in barely a week. And so we're, eagerly awaiting for like a restock. And I'm happy to say of all the ones that we sold, only one of them came back as a quote unquote warranty problem. And that's because that motherfucker lost his temper on the mountain and broke it. So, and I know that for a fact. Okay. So that, no, like he had a bit of a situation with it and it broke, but they've held up really well. So fantastic piece of kit. I think that it's going to actually upset the apple cart in the bipod industry. Because of the way it functions. And, not people can go online and look at a YouTube video rather than me trying to like articulate how it works, but it literally accommodates almost every shooting position that you would want. So, definitely top of my list this year, but I also got to mention their tripods, the Revic Hunter and Backpacker tripods. I've played with a lot of tripods. And these things are legit. When they first came out, they were a little bit slow to sell. But once they got out there and people like felt them or saw them or, got to handle one or looked at the specs, they've been moving at a steady pace ever since. And why is that? So without getting too into the weeds, there is a dividing line between a shooting tripod and a observational tripod. Some observational tripods are okay to shoot off of, but not many. And some shooting tripods are okay to observe off, but not many. This one does both. And the most remarkable thing is the price. The price of them is like, I would say half of a comparable equivalent tripod. So, definitely worth looking at if you're in the market for a tripod.
I'm checking it out right now. So it's like $495 US. Does that include the head as well, or is it just the tripod?
Yeah, no, it comes with a ball head.
Wow.
Yeah, it comes with a really a high load rating ball head, like that'll hold about 33 pounds. So it'll support any firearm easily.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, it looks sweet. Okay, well, I've got 2 new items for the Christmas list. So I knew these podcasts cost me a shit ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I get off. I'm like, yeah. Okay, what else we got on the sweet list of gear for 2023?
Well, I mean, for me, speaking very personally, and like for like our business, the Fierce Rogue. The Fierce Rogue absolutely dominated this year's rifle sales. Like in the US, it was huge. Here in Canada, with less distribution, like it doesn't go through distribution. It only goes like through independent sellers like myself. We moved a ton of them, and that's one thing. But performance wise, I haven't quite seen anything like them. We have dialed in. I should know this, but we've dialed in, meaning like someone didn't just buy the rifle, but they bought a full rifle setup that went to the range and got shot this year almost exclusively by Garrick, because I was out of commission for quite a while there. We dialed in over 100. It's got to be. And just the groups that were coming back were like insane. So like when I learned about the price point of this gun, so I had a conference call with John and John Mogo from Fierce and Rob Dykeman, who's our Canadian sales agent for Fierce and Rizzini. And this was back in December of last year. And so I knew the Rogue was coming. And so John's doing this presentation. He's like holding it up in front of the camera for us, and I was like having a good look at it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. And then when he told me the price, I just like, the world stopped. And I was just like, what? In my head. But what I said out loud, I was like, are you fucking serious? And like, he stopped. He's like, what's wrong, buddy? I'm like, $2,850? I'm like, are you fucking nuts? Like, what are you selling that for in the States? And he told me, I'm like, I was blown away, because there's never been a gun with those features at that weight, at that price point. So then I was like, okay, all right. Had kind of a Jaws moment where I was like, I need a bigger boat. I was like, I need a bigger warehouse. Right. And so, but then reality set in. I was like, wait a minute. I'm not going to see these till like October. What do I got to worry about? So I put in an order. So I sent the order in, and both John and Rob were like, wow, that's okay. Thank you. I was like, yeah, whatever. Right. Well, shit. A bunch of those guns showed up before, the convention in March. And I was like, how is this possible? This is like microwave food. It's kind of like, when you pull up to the drive-through, not that I go through the drive-through much, but you pull up to the drive-through at like 11:30 at night, and you're like, yeah, I'll get onion rings and a double, mama burger and some chubby chicken strips. And so you pull up, they take your money, and like 1 minute later, they hand you the food, and you're like, oh shit, how long was that sitting under the heat lamp? Like, how long was that ready? So they cranked them out at a remarkable pace. And then, so we get them. And so Garrick, who is like just the perpetual pessimist, right? Like, hey, Garrick, it's sunny outside. He's like, yeah, but it'll be night soon. Like, he's kind of like that. And so he's like, oh, yeah, great. We'll see how these shoot. And like the first batch went out, and the targets don't lie. And I was like, these shoot better than almost anything we've seen. And these have an advertised 3/4 MOA guarantee instead of like the half with the other guns. And I've covered all this in a couple of podcasts as to why they did that. But they typically shoot half MOA or better. And some have gone out with like insane targets. So, the value out of it for what you're getting is remarkable. And then when you couple it with something like a Zeiss Conquest V4 scope, like the ratio of like value to performance is like completely unprecedented and unbeatable. So, just to do quick math, $2,850 for a carbon Rogue, you get a Zeiss Conquest V4 4-16 by 44. Just get the Plex reticle with the exposed elevation turret. That scope's normally $1,499. Well, some genius at Zeiss and Gentech was like, oh yeah, our scopes are selling awesome. Let's knock $200 off for 2 fucking months. Oh yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. So, $1,299 for a scope that's already $1,499, an incredible deal compared to everything else. So, $2,850 plus $1,299 plus, under $70 for some rings, like you're just over $4,000 for something that and I can tell you that combination is always going to be under, even with a 24-inch barrel, is going to be sub 8 pounds. They're usually going out the door 20, 22-inch barrels in like a 7 mil or a 30 cal. They're like 7.5 pounds or just over. Like we would have paid $8,000+ for that 3 or 4 years ago. So what I like about it is it puts this incredible system in people's hands that they literally dream about. And my two brothers at Come Out Heavy podcast, Dev and Kurt, we've had casts on this, and like those two guys typify what I like to call like the hard working family people, young guys that have like growing families who can't like throw down endless amounts of money. They got so many other things that they got to put their money into, but both of them were able to get into these systems this year, and they're just like over the moon with them. And like Devin, I mean, kind of lined it up perfectly, because that guy, he goes out, gets his third stone sheep this year, like cold bore, hits it at 600 yards with his Fierce Rogue. And then like this morning, I get a picture of him standing over a 7-point bull elk, right? And that is 100% because he bought a Fierce Rogue. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. But it's pretty incredible when you see like the gear come together like that, and then the guy puts it like to the test. And so there's a whole bunch of them out there this year. And so it'll be nice to catch up with most of the people afterwards. Nothing's problem free. And so when you have a product like this that comes out as quickly, there are little hiccups, but I'm happy to say that, when you buy it from us, you get the full support of Fierce, but we make it that much easier because we have an amazing gunsmith who is, very well versed in dealing with any of these products, but in particular the Fierce. And so, we've had guys that had little issues, and we get them turned around right away, and they're back out in the field with them. So, that rifle is honestly, having handled these things for years now at I would consider the highest level, Gunworks, Snowy Mountain, like premium brands, like they're really putting a hell of a lot into their product at a price that is more than affordable when you're in that subset of firearm.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I'll attest to that on your field support, man. It's incredible. Any issues I've ever had, it's like you're all over it and working ways to make things happen for supporting any of the products that you put out there. So, what's the go-to caliber? What's everyone using? What's the most popular caliber right now? It was 7 SAUM you're pushing for a while. What's the big thing?
Well, I still hold that the 7 SAUM is the best 7 mil. Hands down. And I'm not going to bore people with that. I mean, you can debate that all you want, but you're wrong. But the 7 PRC just dominated this year, which was not a surprise. But I will say this, like John got me. So our first order was 2 pallets of these fucking rifles. Okay. When you get 2 pallets of rifles show up on your doorstep, it's like awesome. You're like, wow. But at the same time, you're like, like, I hope we don't have a fucking problem here. Right? Because I've seen products like it, and, they've had some releases that did not fly like the Wright brothers. Okay. So I was like, holy Jesus, like these things better produce. And they did. And we blew through. So more than 50% of that first order was 7 PRCs. Like, John's my brother. He's a great guy. He is probably one of the most successful business people that I have the pleasure of knowing, I would say fairly intimately. And, when he says when he really gets behind something, says he's going to do it, he does it. So he delivered all these 7 PRCs to me. Well, fortunately, one of my other business partners was able to deliver quite a bit of 7 PRC 180 grain match. So not ideal in most people's minds, but when you get the guy that called up, he's like, "So I see you got some 7 PRC rifles on your website." You're like, "Yeah, I do." "Oh, really? I see. So if I was to buy one of those rifles, you're going to be able to sell me some ammo?" And you're like, "Yeah, I will." Big pause. And they're just all of a sudden realizing like, fuck, I guess I got to buy now, don't I? Or I'll look like an idiot. So that was a nice thing. We were able to actually, like when we had rifles, we had some ammo and we had to ration it, but we were able to move them. And the only reason I didn't sell, like maximize, was because I didn't get all the calibers I didn't have everything all the time. I didn't have all the different calibers of the Rogue or the barrel lengths when I kind of wanted to. But 7 PRC pretty dominated in every offering, whether it was a Mossberg at around $700 all the way to a Gunworks. Like people were all over it. Even the people that last year were like, "I don't give a fuck about that caliber. I don't need that. I already got this. I already got a 28 Nosler. I've been down that road. I got a 7 mag. When are you getting one? What color is it going to be?" Like, that's what it turned into. So, yeah, I literally have customers that have SOM, 7 Rem Mag, 28 Nosler, 7 PRC. Like, just got to try every flavor of the rainbow, I guess. I don't know. And then the 6.5 and 300 probably make up for the balance. Those two are still incredibly dominant. And then everything else kind of seeps in there, 300 Win Mag, 7 Rem Mag for grandpa. I mean, those.
What do you have?
Sorry.
What do you have for ammo? Do you have everything pretty much, or is there still a shortage of some of the stuff?
It's gotten a lot better. We received a lot of 300 Wisdom, which there was basically absence for over 3 years. Nobody had 300 short mag ammo. It was awful. People were selling their guns, kind of mopey about it. Like, what do you do, right? We're not getting every offering, but we have right now, I think, 3 different chamberings of 300 short mag. 6.5 and 300 PRC are readily available, and other calibers are opening up, with a few exceptions, like 270 short mag still, and then 410 ammo is still like a total holocaust. In fact, so some has come available with one of my distributors, and initially I was like, "Oh wow, 410 ammo," and then I zoned in on it. I was like, "That can't be right." So I actually sent a link to my rep, and I was like, "Is that right? Is that a box of 20 or something?" And he's like, "No, that's a box of 5. So you can have 410 ammo right now for $50 for a pack of 5.
Wow.
Yeah, rape. Total rape.
Oh, that's insane. So optics, what are we looking at for, I think the big thing there was a ton of Leica stuff on there. It was pretty affordable for their range finding stuff.
Yeah, there's actually 2, if we're going to talk optics, there's 2 things that really come to my mind. For us, the runaway hit was like an old product, but new, they reintroduced it for this year. And that's the Leica Geovid R. And for people that are Leica fans are like, which one's that? How many rangefinder binders do they have? The R, the HDR, the HDB, the .com, what is it, right? Well, the Geovid R is a reintroduction of their basic, their most basic rangefinder binocular. But what they did was they improved the glass. So the glass is on par with a Leica Trinovid HD, which is to say it's phenomenal glass, the best glass under $2,000. Okay, I'll argue that with anybody. They put a stronger rangefinder in it. So it has a 2,000 yard straight line, like line of sight rangefinder. And it does equivalent horizontal range to 1,200 yards. So for people that are using a yardage turret, that's all you need. Line of sight, right? And then your yardage turret. So if you're using like a yardage turret and like a Kestrel for wind, it'll give you both values that you need. And then they put it in a lighter, more streamlined chassis. So it's not something that great-great-grandpa held when he was standing and looking out of a Panzer tank. Like, it's more streamlined. And then they lowered the price. Like, they used to be like $22.99. They're $18.89. So kind of a funny story, little like industry funny story about that. So I did my booking on those Gigabit Rs back in January after SHOT Show. And anybody that understands bookings, like, you have booking dates and then you put how many you want, right? So you say like, okay, April, I want 10. And then May, I want 10. And so on, right? So it was April, and all of a sudden all these big boxes start showing up. And I was just like, and I just know the sort of the tape color that different companies use. And I'm like, that's a whole lot of Leica showing up. I'm like, and there was another show going on it. So anyway, we open it up, and it was like so somebody messed up. So it was all the Leica binos that I had booked over 4 dates times 2. So someone really screwed up. Okay. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, so with one of those, say like costing me like $1,600, there's like instantly $180,000 sitting there that I got to pay back. Like, they give you terms, right? So I got a hold of my rep, and I'm like, I'm not going to name him. I don't know that he'd appreciate that or not, but he's an amazing guy. I'm like, hey, I leave him a voicemail. I'm like, hey, could you call me back? Like, there's a serious mix up with my order. So he didn't quite get it at first. He called me. He was at a show. He's like, oh, so you don't want all those at the same time? I'm like, no, man. Like, there's like, you got to look at how many showed up here. So then like later that day, he's like, I just talked to the sales manager. I'm so sorry. Like, holy crap. I don't know how that happened. Right. So I said, okay, well, pretty aggressive. I mean, shipping them back, we can do that. But like, just give me an extra month. So they talked about it, and they're like, okay, that's pretty reasonable. We sold them all before they were due because it caught fire, right? Like, people know a good deal when they see it. And, $18.89 for like almost $2,000 for a set of binos. Like, you don't just throw that around. But what was happening was we put them up there. It kind of got out. Someone would get a hold of one. Then their friends would look through it and like, oh, wow, how much are those? And they'd be like $18.89. And they quickly go out in the marketplace and be like, wait a minute. Like, the next closest thing with that level of glass is over $4,000, which is true. And so then it was like the brother or the dad or the uncle or whatever. So like one sale would turn into like 4. So they moved very quick, and they continue to move. Like, I keep under ordering because I'm like, okay, we must have sold, like, that's got to be it. But no, like like the Rogue, that product puts incredible value and functionality in someone's hands. And I really like that. Like, you'd think that me being a business owner, I want to fucking take that last dollar I can. That's actually completely the opposite of how I think. And that's sincere. If I can sell you something that gives you great functionality and you're going to be happy with and leaves a lot of money in your wallet to either buy something else or just at least remember that I talked you down from like the $4,400 binocular into something that'll actually do what you want. I like that. That's how I want to be treated. So, products like that, like, I really get behind. And, it's just, sometimes you're just blessed. You're just lucky. I was just lucky that someone made that weird mistake, and that Leica is such a good partner that they're like, yeah, okay, like, hopefully you move them all in that time, and even if we didn't, they would be like, okay, like, they would work with us, but it worked out really cool.
That's awesome. What do you think that's going to do to the industry when you get two products, and we see this on two different levels, two different categories? You got the firearms category and what Fierce has done there, and they've delivered this, sub $3,000 product and maintained the quality level. And we've seen it now with Leica. So obviously their competitors are looking at that going, wow, like those, that's going to be a red flag for them. Are they going to look at, their R&D look at products like that, or is it Gunworks just like, no, that's not who we market to. We market to the $5,000 to $10,000 customer. We're not worried about somebody that's sub 3.
Well, both. Some companies don't care. Like, they don't care. They're like, this is what we do. This is what it's worth. We can't do it less than that. And others do look internally and they're like, okay, how do we get a piece of that pie? That's exactly what John did. So John's entry level rifle before was just about $4,000. And I don't want to say I had too much to do with it, but I definitely put the bug in his ear beginning of last year, because there was a competitor rifle that I got and sold, and I was like, you got to look at this. And and he had other people talking in his ear, but I mean, him and I do talk quite a bit, and he trusts my acumen when it comes to like what works with his product up here anyway. And so they took it, they tore it apart, and like, we're like, how do we beat this on every level? And that's what they did with the Rogue. Now, other companies trying to compete with the Givet R, well, there's a very finite number that can, because the glass, okay? It's make-believe to think that anybody that's not Zeiss, Swaro, or Leica can put out glass like that. They can compete with it a bit. Like if the glass comes out of Japan, as an example, the Gunworks Revic binoculars, their glass is like shockingly good. It's on the level with Nightforce product, but that's rare for like a non-Euro product. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough for these companies in some instances to replicate this, right? The bigger they are, the harder that is, ironically, because there's so many checks and balances and things that they got to consider, and people whose fingers and ideas come into the play, like, well, if we offer this, it's going to take away from that, and we're going to sell that product at this price point instead of this product at this price point, right? Definitely, it shakes things up. 100% the Rogue is going to cause a little bit of a shakeup in the industry. There's no two ways about that. It already has. The Givet R, I just think that Leica is so dominant in that rangefinder segment. Like, don't get me wrong, Zeiss and Swaro make beautiful products, but actually, if you delve into it, Leica produces some of the best rangefinder products on the market because of their partnership with Applied Ballistics and the fact that their ballistic compensated rangefinders are Kestrel compatible, which none of their competitors are, other than SIG, whose glass is terrible. So, in that instance, and just like, I think part of the delay on the Gunworks bipod was because like Aaron knew that he had fire in his hands there, and he wanted to make sure it was patented and protected, right? So, yeah, I mean, but it's good, right? Just like when you're sheep hunting. If it's just you and, your buddy, and you're just kind of strolling along, and all of a sudden you see another tent, you're like, holy fuck. What the hell is this? You're fucking up earlier. Like you're going to beat those guys, right? So it's no different. Competition's good.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So the Rogue, do you have lots of those in stock still, or where are you sitting?
Yeah, we got oodles. I think I don't think they're all in there, but I'm gonna say we've got to have about 60 or 70 in stock. We have lots of 300, lots of 6.5, and lots of 7 PRCs. Bit heavy in that category. We are getting in like other calibers, like we got 280, 270 Win, 30-06, 308, 6.5 Creed. We got their new mini version, so it's like a youth. Can we say women model? Are we allowed to say that? It's a model for shorter statured persons It's got an adjustable comb. It comes in like a standard color or like a very sexy purple. So yeah, we got a lot of them.
7 Psalms?
So no 7 Psalms in the Rogue yet. John and I had talked about that. So we'll probably see those next year because I'm still a huge advocate of the 7 Psalm. We do have them in the Rival and the Rage though. Yeah, and then hopefully they come out with a left-hand product next year. We love lefties. I bring in a lot of lefties whenever I can. So hopefully next year.
Cool. All right. What else we got? What other gear is go to these days?
A couple of other things that I really like that really stood out for me was the Stone Glacier Terminus packs. So I'm a big fan of Stone Glacier for a lot of good reasons. Some of them personal, some of them more objective, but the Terminus, initially, again, I was a bit skeptical of it. It's an internal frame pack. So that means it is a non-detachable bag. That means that it's baked in the cake. What it is what it is. But what I like about it is that within a certain subset of hunting, it's remarkable. They make a 7,000 cubic inch and an 8,700 cubic inch. They're incredibly light. Like we're talking barely 3 pounds. They're made out of X-Pack Gen 2 material, which means the whole bag is inherently waterproof. And they have like an internal meat shelf. So it's got a sleeve that is stitched to the frame so you can slide your meat in there. So if you're doing like a very focused alpine hunt, for example, like a goat hunt, where you're going to be out for 3-4 days, or where it's just an up and down, and you want to really minimize your weight if it's a very severe climb, and you want to pull everything out in one go. I would say that they've exceeded my expectations, such that one of my friends who's like a really hard hunting, probably one of the most elite guides out there, that's Johnny Nykirk. He always looks at everything that comes in, and he can get anything he wants, right? So he actually bought one. He bought a 7,000 last year, and then went with an 8,700 this year. And since then, he's bought a couple more because like he's been on hunts doing these like elite, amazing high value stone hunts. And his clients are like, wow, what's that pack? Right? Well, I'll give you this one if you want. Oh shit, I'll buy it. You know what I mean? And then like guides that he works with, or his guides, like he's been getting them for him. So that is easily the best endorsement that I can give. Because he's probably going to get mad that I even actually said this, because he's actually sponsored by Kuyu. So how about that? Anyway, really, really like those packs. And we're going to put them to the test ourselves this October as I limp my ass up the mountain with my son and Ben Matthew, your new board member, and Garrick, as we go and try and extract a goat from the icy reaches of Stewart, my home away from home. So we'll see how that does. Another piece of gear that, again, this one's not really new, but because of the clusterfuck that has been Kaferu's move, it's kind of new to us. And after 18 months, we finally got a huge order of their Lost parkas. And I'm not stuttering. They call them the Lost Parka and then Parka. So the Lost Parka and Lost Parka pants. If you're looking for insulated gear, like give those a hard look. Doesn't matter what you buy in that segment, it's going to be pricey. So, if you go down, I love down personally, but I'll tell you, like the Lost Parka stuff is made for like serious use. A lot of the people that are actually using this gear, they're not recreational users, they're professional users, meaning they are like either U.S. military or like private military or contractors. And what they want is a synthetic that can get soaking wet, wring out easily, keep you warm. And what I really like about them is that in the wear spots, like, so we all have down pants and down jackets, right? Like we've got like insulated stuff. And then you're always worried about it because that material that they make down of is like very, like it gets caught on things and it pills up or it tears or this stuff is made tough. It's got a DWR expression on the exterior, but it has Cordura patches on like the knees and the seat, the belly and the elbows. So you can wear it when you're doing regular shit, stay warm and not worry that it's going to get damaged. Yeah. And then something else that really surprised me, you know, I get it wrong all the time and I really got it wrong about this, but so when this product kind of came out, my rep, like a few days out, he's like, "Oh man, you're going to want to order 100 of these." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, we got something new coming out and it's crazy." And I'm just like, okay, the hype machine, you know, like what is it? And then when I found out about it, I was just completely underwhelmed. I'm like, what? Like big fucking deal. Like whoop-de fucking do. Like literally what I was saying, right? I was showing Garrick and I was like, look at this fucking thing. Like, who cares? Not me, right? So I ordered some and then I got it and then we took it out and Garrick's like, that thing's pretty fucking sweet, man. And I was just like, And that's because I was thinking about it from a very, very secular point of view. Like I always think of everything from a mountain hunter perspective. I'm very centric that way. And so this is like the Swarovski STC or ATC, like their mini spotter. It's a 17 to 40 power. So I was just, you know, I was really like, well, I don't know if that's enough power. You know, I think that like, you know, I've got some strong views on that. But that was completely wrong. The optics are amazing. It's like barely 2 pounds. It's under 10 inches long, so it's ultra compact. It has a 56 objective. Like you forget that it actually has a 56 objective, which, not to get too nerdy, gives you an amazing exit pupil at that zoom range. So like in many, many hunting situations, like it's amazing. You can have that thing out and using it before a conventional full-size spotting scope and actually for an alpine hunter. So I had guys that they wanted it. And I'm like, look, man, you already have such and such. I don't know, I don't know if it's enough to resolve, like count sheep horn at that distance. And they're like, I want it anyway. So they got it and they like totally proved me wrong. They're like, just so you know. I was like, okay, I believe you, right? So that is a sweet, not a cheap piece of gear by any stretch, but an amazing little spotter that actually, for I gotta say, for like seasoned sheep hunters, like veterans, very usable. Like absolutely will do what you need to do. And if you're looking at count ounces, like there's really nothing that offers what that one does.
So a seasoned guide's going to use that, and he's going to be able to count rings and everything at 300-400 yards, no problem with that thing.
Some of that actually knows how to count for sure, but I would say that it's more going to show you like, you know what I mean? Like we're going to talk about an incredible sheep, but when you look at a mature ram, right? Sometimes you don't need to count the rings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Or at distance, right? It bears that weight at like the 7 o'clock, like talking, like the curve of the horn at like the 7 o'clock part of the clock. Like you're like, we got to get closer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And, so more than adequate.
Cool. What else do I have to spend my money on? Jesus, you're costing me a lot tonight, buddy.
No, nothing. So talking about cool things this year, I'm like the luckiest unlucky guy that I know because I work way too much. And, this year I had a whoops-a-daisy, so it completely fucked up my sheep hunt. But that means that I was present in the office throughout the opener, where normally I'm gone. And so I got to see more faces on the way up. And And, the crazy thing is, like, for me, it's not just selling gear. It's like, I was just telling some guy today that I just met randomly, and he's just turned out to be like such an amazing, cool person. And he stopped in to pick up his gun and stuff, and we ended up talking for like over 2 hours. And I'm just so lucky that I get to play with this gear and just meet all these amazing people. And some, I get to talk to them before and after their sheep hunts, and sometimes during, which is usually really fucking stressful because that means stuff's going wrong. We're trying to program a rangefinder long distance, which is like picking the fucking balls off a mosquito with boxing gloves and blindfolds on. And like, so I get all these cool stories, and I definitely got some cool stories this year, but like the coolest story for me this year is these two guys that have been hunting together for a long time. It makes me emotional because it really, sheep hunting it's more than just hunting for a lot of us. It's like, it's our church. It's how you de-stress. It's like how you set your calendar. It's how you set your mind right. And so these two guys went on a hunt, and they've been hunting together for quite a while. They've killed quite a few sheep together, and they happened upon like a super rare ram, one that you don't ever see, and one of them gave it to his friend, and that was you, Kyle. You gave that ram, whatever the impetus was, but I don't know many people that would pass on a ram like that. And you gave that to Mike, and he'll remember that to his last breath. And I just think that really summarizes what it's all about. There's the gear quest. There's the pure achievement, like I want to get a sheep. There's the figuring out the trade craft, like becoming good at putting your kit together and, building up your cardio and all that, and, learning how to shoot. There's some people are drawn to just the agony of it, like the gruelingness of it. Navigating that terrain, standing on the edge of that bluff, getting that photo of yourself, and then there's like the camaraderie of it. And so like when I saw those pictures come in and then learned about the ram and I talked to Mike a bit, it's pretty crazy. So good on you, man.
Holy shit. I thought this is a hell of a story. Who the fuck are these guys? Wow. That's crazy. Okay. Well, appreciate that, dude. I'm just so stoked for Mike, right? He's such a, like, he's the guy that he's my mentor. He got me into this, and it's it's just so awesome to be part of this fraternity, and he gets full credit for all of it. I didn't know anything about sheep or the Sheep Society when I came out here, so yeah, it's pretty epic. That's what do you say to that? Shit.
Well, I've told your little story there and showed that ram to people, and I was like, guys that are kind of just getting into it, I'm like, that ram's 13 years old, and like, it's perfect. And like, what would you do? And like, well, we'd be flipping for it. And I'd be like, well, that's not how that went down. And, maybe, I don't know, maybe you tripped and hit your gun. Maybe you missed. I mean, who knows what the true story is, but it's a beautiful thing the way it is. So, you guys have been hunting together for a long time. How many sheep do you guys have between yourselves now?
I think 6.
Yeah. It's pretty remarkable. So, you were the Samwise to his Frodo, right? Or the Chewbacca to his Han Solo. Or maybe it's like the Juliet to his Romeo. I don't know, but it's pretty awesome. So that's
one of those.
That's my favorite story for this year.
Super cool, man. Well, I appreciate that. I was getting all choked up. I'm like, tell me who these guys are. I'm so excited.
No, it like, it does that to me. Like, guys come and stop in, and they're just so pumped, or they're so like emotional, highs and lows on their hunts, and like you just embrace that, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, super cool. Hey, we've taken a whole hour. I told you it'd been an hour, and I know we got like another 3 hours worth to talk about, so we have to do this again. But before we let you go, what pack are you running on your goat hunt, and what's Jackson running? What are you guys going to wear?
So he's probably going to rock the 7900 or the Terminus 7000.
Yeah,
and I'll probably try the Terminus 8700.
Okay.
Ben hasn't decided he's going to try some Terminus. And no slight to our Caferu packs, like fucking love those things. But we just want to be as agile. I mean, me personally, I need to be as light as I can humanly be up there. I just got to take the weight off my knee. But I hopefully we put them to the test and stuff them full. But definitely worth checking out.
So I know Selden ran the 7, and then he realized it wasn't big enough, so he took the 87. But then he panicked at the last second because he hadn't worn it enough. So he ended up running his Cafaru, I think, on his sheep hunt. So, but he's sold on the 87. He just hadn't spent enough time with it, I think, is the issue with that, right?
Yeah, the 7000, man, like you got to be super disciplined to be able to make something of that volume work on let's say a 7 to 10 dayer. I know a few guys that can, but like not many can. 8700 is actually huge in the pack space. You need around that 8,000 mark. What the Caferu gives you is they're just so freaking solid. Like they're just unbreakable, right? Mm-hmm. But that comes at, a little bit of an expense weight wise, right? Mm-hmm. And part of the problem with Caferu is they make so many sexy accessories. You're just like, oh yeah, I need that. I want that. I want that. I want that. And then next thing you know, you're like the traveling Wilburys with like, you got like a Sherman pocket with a large pocket with a small pocket on that, right? And then you're walking around with like an 8 or 9 pound pack before you put anything in it. So yeah, and Mike just wants excuses to buy more shit anyway, right? So
yeah, well, that's exactly it with my Cafaru. I went out and bought I got all these accessory packs, and I'm like, I took 3 of them with me on my hunt, and then I'm like, I left one in the tent, and then I gave Mike one, and I'm like, why do I have these? This is ridiculous. This is stupid, right? So it's so their accessories are so freaking cool, man.
They are nice. Everything they make is beautiful, and it's all like made in the USA, right? So that matters to some people. Sure matters to me anyway. But I mean, it's nice to have like, well, am I going to take the Caferu or am I going to take the Stone Glacier? Like these are good problems to have.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to end up going to the 8700 as well. I was running the Sky, not the Tellus, but the Sky Guide.
Sky Guide 7900.
Yeah, and I think it was all right, but I think I want to switch up to the 8700. I'm pretty keen on that. So
yeah. Well, we'll see how the season goes.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So when are you leaving? October what?
We're going to leave on October 19th.
Okay. Well, that's late. Oh, yeah. You like those furry ones?
Yeah. Well, normally, always. Normally, I like to... normally, I'm hunting goats, like end of October in that last 2-week period because I like to struggle. Or like, January, February in the closed opening up the creek from hell. But they just hair up good, and I don't know. I love it there. That's my favorite place to go. There's a lot of easier places to get goats, but we all have our place that we like to go, and like I said, Stewart's kind of my home away from home. So
and that first week in November is the rut there, basically, right? They're rutting that first, like very end of October, early November.
Yeah, traditionally it is. I mean, I'll tell you that there's been less and less snow at that period, which is a good, bad thing. Like they're up high. We've had, my buddy Jeff, luckiest guy on the planet. I took him there, and like this giant billy came right down to sniff a nanny. And he came from up on high, like right down at the base. So we smashed him in a perfect spot. I've never had a goat that easy there. I mean, you're like climbing to get within 600-700 yards to shoot him and then go get him. But not to get into like climate change or whatever, but it's shifted a bit. So yeah, like what normally would be the rut is kind of pre-rut. Yeah.
Right on. Awesome, man. Well, we've taken a bunch of your time. Thanks again, Omer, for taking the time to talk to us tonight. And it's always actually these podcasts, I don't really care about the content. It's just fun to bullshit with you. Like, and this is the great excuse to do.
Oh yeah, we don't do it enough. I mean, I haven't had time to do any. And normally I don't like doing just jibber jabber ones.
Yeah.
I like to have stuff that's like informationally dense, and that takes preparation. Yeah, no, I mean, as long as people find it fun and somewhat useful, then yeah, it's good.
Appreciate it. Awesome. Well, thanks again, and we'll chat soon, hopefully, and good luck in your goat hunt.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right.
Thanks.
Cheers.